And please welcome Genevieve Franklin. Hi, Genevieve.
My favorite part. It's been a long time, and you'll understand why, I think, in part of my story. An Iranian poet said, have patience. All things are difficult before they become better. In October of 2022, when I turned 70, my sister, firstborn of my parents, sent me a message that said, welcome to the age of wisdom. I wanted to celebrate this milestone in a special way. Some people take the trip of their life. Some people have splendid parties. Other people go and sing karaoke all night long until the moon yawns and says, all right, already, go to sleep. And some people go to a restaurant that is incredibly expensive, way out of their range, but absolutely worth it, so that they can have tiny bites and champagne. Santé, chin chin, salud. I wanted to commemorate this in a different way, in a way that reflected a commitment that I made when I was 15 and saw a Time magazine on my father's desk. It was December of 1976, and 1967. And it had on the front a drawing of Christiane Barnard, who did the first heart transplant. There was a drawing of a heart with its blue and red arteries and veins above it, and then on a banner it said, transplantation of the heart. It was astonishing. And at that moment I was totally mesmerized by this extraordinarily good-looking physician from South Africa. It wasn't for many decades that I could follow up on what I was to do, but I had become totally committed to the idea of organ donation. And the idea that this association of cells that was so magnificent could be taken in its extraordinary livingness out of one being and placed as if it were being planted and being the seeds of potential into a broken but still accepting vessel and create life, just astonished me. It took a while before I was in a position to be able to follow up on my dream of doing a kidney transplant. I had heard that you could do what's called a Good Samaritan, or non-dedicated kidney, which means that your kidney will be available to anybody who needs it, whether you know them or not. We have 2 kidneys that function completely independently. It's like having 2 lifesavers, and if you were in the water and someone were drowning, take one. So I undertook a few days after my 70th birthday to sign up for the registry of organ donors and to follow the process. The first thing was a very long questionnaire. I aced it. The second one was some blood tests, and I literally danced out of the lab after I had my blood drawn, and a few days later, I got the very good results that were promising. So then I talked to UCSF and arranged to have appointments so that they could do some medical and psychological evaluations. Now, I was doing this in a way, in an acknowledgement of my good health, but turns out that a little bit before I did this process, I had had a mammogram at Kaiser, not UCSF. And they said, you know what, we've got some little thing that we want to check up. How about you come back with Halloween, okay? I said, okay. And I went back and I had some more tests. On the following Monday, I got a call from Kaiser, and they said, "We have your results. You have breast cancer." I was more disappointed in the fact that that meant that I would not be able to give my kidney than I was afraid of having cancer. In part, that's because I've got a history of much more serious cancers, but I was able to have my surgery, not have to have chemo and radiation, and then have an implant, and then take out the implant because the implant was too big, and now, fortunately, I'm not so big anymore. And I'm alive. But the question was that because I had cancer, I'm going to have patience. I'm going to have to wait another 5 years before I can pass my life preserver on to somebody else. That wouldn't be such a big thing, except that every year, about 5,000 people die waiting for a kidney on the waiting list. So that's going to be 25,000 people later. Not to worry, though. I'm planning for my semi-sexquicentennial anniversary of my birth in 2027. I'm lining up. Take my lifesaver.
Genevieve Franklin, everybody.